Well, I want to be a little careful at this point because, as you know, it's still a developing story, and in deference to the folks back in Roanoke, Virginia, who are dealing with this on the ground, I want to be a little measured about what I say. But he was hired in 2011, I believe, or 2012, I think it would be, in May, thereabouts of 2012, and then we ended up terminating him in February of 2013 for performance issues. He had leveled a rather long series of complaints against coworkers nearly from the beginning of his employment at the TV station. That really had nothing to do with his termination. And after a lot of investigation, both internally and externally, all of his allegations were deemed to be unfounded, and they were largely under along racial lines. And that we did thorough investigation and could find no evidence that anyone had racially discriminated against this man. I did. I actually brought Adam over from the television station production department into the news department first as a part-time photographer. He was such a quick study and just a great young man that he was eventually promoted while I was news director there to be the morning photographer. Allison was an intern at the station. I didn't have a whole lot of dealings with her. I knew who she was. She seemed to me to be a very bright, vivacious young woman, and after I left and came back to Hawaii, she was subsequently hired there as a full-time reporter. They were both really just great young people, and it's such a tragic circumstance. You just never know when you're going to work how a potentially unhinged or unsettled person might impact your life in such a tragic way as we saw in Roanoke this morning. I can tell you that he was probably the toughest termination we ever had, or that I was ever involved in, and I won't go into details right now, again, out of deference to what's happening in Roanoke. But it was a really tough termination, and it was the only time I will tell you that it was recommended that I have a police escort out of the building in a termination procedure, and did have it. He was actually escorted by the Roanoke police out of the building because he was not going to leave willingly or under his own free will. So it was a tough situation.